playing on. We can officially get into the thick of things here. Expanding rivers for game number 1. Cambodia will
Oke
have
guys,
first pick.
tapi jangan lupa di subscribe dulu guys ya, sama di like ya. Kita masuk di game pertama antara Kamboja versus Kazakhstan. Gatot Kaca di band Esmeralda Lancelot. Baxia. Mapnya Expanding River.
Banning is also going to be a question mark because we know that Detective is capable of executing on these very high complexity assassins. So getting rid of Lancelot makes sense.
Kamboja
But who
nih
else do you want
ngeri
to
juga
ban?
tuh.
The Baxia does get taken out by Team Kazakhstan. They are aware of Cambodia's penchants for early game aggression on a map like Expanding Rivers that is facilitated even further. So taking out heroes that can move quickly across the map and start making things happen in the first couple of minutes is going to be their
Kalau
priority.
lengah sedikit hilang ginjal kalian.
There is one game that we saw when Cambodia actually picked up Fanny, where they were actually against with Dominican, and it was actually one of the games that was able
Ada
to
Grok
portray
di
a
band.
lot of the skills coming up from Detective Cell. But at the same time, we do see Grok, another hero that was also prioritized not just from the men category but also from the woman category. Once you actually let go of that, it's not going to be easy. Great setup comes with the tectonic charge as well as with the rampant.
Kalian kalau ditarik jadi pemain Kamboja mau gak kalian?
Man category, you don't want to mess around with that inside your own draft.
It is interesting though to see Team Cambodia banning it out since they do have first pick. They could have actually
Jusin di ban
themselves. So by banning it out, it indicates that they want to prioritize something different. Now my most obvious choice would be something like CC, but it looks like Cambodia prefers the Lapu.
first pick Lapu-Lapu tuh.
Okay, Lapu. I think pretty much we saw how much of the game starter wise, it kind of actually puts a really good momentum when it comes to Lapu. Great composition as well as having a really good sustainability on the front line. So Lapu definitely have been a really popular choice on the side. But to counter back to Cambodia, they picked out Kimi as well as Kalea with a really good burst damage as well and a good setup with a pick-off of that Tsunami Slam. I think Kazakhstan pretty much just playing on the direct situation right now.
So neither side putting a high priority on CC so far. With Kimi already locked in for Team Kazakhstan, Team Cambodia can go for something like the Eve here. Now the usual combos of Gatot, Kacha and Grok were already banned out by them themselves. So that is actually an interesting thing coming in here. That means that they're leaning into slightly different roam options. We already know they're known for heroes like Cho, and it looks like they are actually gonna lock that in.
Like we've talked about, how if it's not broken, why fix it? Just keep with all that you've already known, some things that you're already comfortable and you're already confident enough to come through. Now with Kazakhstan already picking up the goal lane straight away, now Granger comes through, and I think pretty much we've seen a lot of success coming from Kazakhstan, fighting off with Peru as well. They had the Granger to be prioritized, so this shows how much they want to make sure that there's no casualty, or even how they not be able to grab the signature heroes for their own line.
That means that Team Kazakhstan is going for the Granger Kimi duo, artillery fire, late game scaling marksman. And this is usually a setup for a more classic front-to-back composition. What that means is Team Kazakhstan likely want a tank jungler. With Baxia already taken out, Fredrin is the next most obvious example, but Team Cambodia is almost guaranteed to take that out of the pool. So you're going to need some very solid frontliners here.
Let's see. I mean, with Cambodia, they want to actually track down a little bit of the frontliners on the side of Kazakhstan. Hilta up already, so those are the heroes that can be actually toned down a little bit, because we did see when it comes to Kazakhstan having a frontliners like Hilta, even with the mobility wise of Expanding Rivers, it kind of gives a lot of the opportunity for them to strike.
They're going to ban out the Guinevere on the side of Team Cambodia, so that is most likely keeping an eye out for an EXP lane. Guinevere might give Lapu a hard time. The Fredrin, though, that I talked about earlier, actually can be banned out by Team Kazakhstan themselves, which is very interesting. It means that they're not actually attempting to play tank jungle, typical front to back. Now that leaves a couple options. They could be setting up for a triple marksman composition since Yi Sun Shin is still in the pool, but that risks very early game invasion. Otherwise, you can actually go into fighters here, which leans into Liam.
Iesf
I actually
di-ban.
think they might be trying to pull Liam out.
Again? Oh, but I kind of agree on the note though.
Hayabusa, Sanjo, di-ban guys.
From Cambodia side, and I think
Mapnya
when it comes to
expanding river.
Hayabusa, you don't want to actually make sure that Iesf been target easily from the back line. So those are the things that they actually acquire out. Some things that they want to actually tone down a little bit for Kazakhstan. Again, Hilda, one of the frontliners that I've talked about, definitely can be picked up by Kazakhstan. But again, Cambodia just trying to make sure that at least they will be able to actually hold out the position of their own mid laners.
This is a pre-picked counter Fanny, basically. Team Cambodia has a very high chance of locking in Fanny here since the rest of Team Kazakhstan's roster doesn't have all that
Fanny.
crowd control. Yes, they have the Kalea, but it's not the most reliable. Also, heroes like Joy are going to have a pretty solid time. Now, it is risky to pick Joy into a Hilda, but Team Cambodia is aware that this is going to be an EXP Hilda, so the
Ruby
is not quite as high. And with the Ruby rounding out the lineup, they are going for double fighter side lane, a direct early game counter towards Kazakhstan's double marksman.
Oh,
Ruby, Ruby Godland sih.
Right here, it seems that when it comes to
kalau Ruby XP itu berat guys.
Great frontliners on the front line to make sure that at least they won't have any securism to actually go inside. But at the same time, Kazakhstan picked out Martis for the last pick.
So it looks like Team Kazakhstan does have some interesting junglers in their back pocket. This is no longer a good game for Liam, unfortunately, since there is just so much crowd control overall. So you need someone who is able to deal with that. And we know that Martis has a lot of anti-CC frames that could be utilized, but is also a hero that relies quite heavily on a snowball, and they don't have a lot of burst for that. They need to make setups with this Kalea, Martis, and Hilda combination, but that requires a little bit more attention being paid to the EXP lane.
Let's see if it's going to be one of the games that's going to actually give a good challenge to the side of Kazakhstan. Maybe they will be able to slow things down, have their own power spikes, so that they can actually have a really good counter to the side of Cambodia. But so far for draft-wise, I do think that when it comes to Cambodia, they kind of cover a really good ground. Great CC, great AoE, as well as for the damage. But this is just us saying, welcome to the World Esports Championship 2025 live in Kuala Lumpur. Let's give it up to Team Kazakhstan versus Cambodia.
Game number 1 here, ladies and gentlemen, of our final quarter-final series here in the open category. Only one of these two squads will be able to claim that final spot in the semi-finals. Detective nearly messing up the initial take. Actually had to use the retreat.
Oh, coming off right now, they are pushing in straight for the invasion.
Ini
Foxy,
cowoknya ngeri
a
sih.
little bit to slow that. Wavebreaker comes in, but still had to move away with the flicker. So still,
So di make aja tuh.
and time again, they
Tapi
are
nggak
trying
tahu
to
juga
push
kan.
out to the side of Team Cambodia. But here's the thing, Cambodia also need to step down just a little bit.
Purify, Purify.
Coming in here from Team Kazakhstan. They're well aware that they need to make things happen on the map. They cannot allow their opponents to free farm, especially with Detective picking up this Joy into the Hilda. The ideal right now for Baby Agot is to try and win lane as much as possible, or even avoid interacting with Wadu, just clear up waves so that he can be freed up to rotate onto the map. Matching the pace on Boxy and even passing through it while keeping an eye on Detective's farm route is going to be crucial for Kazakhstan.
Let's see, so far when it comes to the early aggressions, we do feel like when it comes to Team Kazakhstan, they don't have much worry on the mid lane, because again, we talked about how when it comes to Kimi, we'll be able to actually clear the wave as easily as possible, but let's see how much of the pressure they want to actually pull in. Right now, moving on for the bottom lane, as Des somehow will be able to actually just hold out the positioning, because all the invasion that was done by Foxy is denied countless times.
Movements right now are still pretty standard.
Oh, comes in for the dive, completely getting the first blood right there by Des, but RWM, not gonna do anything though. But this is going to be a turtle for in the hands of Team Cambodia. Would allow it, but no, it seems that they will be going for a fight. Des, Wadu, by Des immediately, but at the same time, Little Fire Base has been pushed.
Dapat Kalea, Jo.
Take down Des for the retreat, but at the same time, pushing on, he will be also traded up by Baby Agop.
That is definitely still going to be a W though for Team Kazakhstan. Beautiful rotations right there, making use of the Martis' level 4 spike to instantly rotate mid, pick off the Cho, and then they have the numbers advantage, even able to get an extra decimate in onto Wadu, means that the Martis is already in a good state. And despite having their jungler picked off, Tashtik was still able to land the last hit on the turtle. So Team Kazakhstan coming out on top in general there is excellent, considering that they are trying to play double marksman. As long as they keep themselves in a good position gold-wise the next couple of minutes, this game will look very good for them.
enak ya.
Again, damage-wise definitely will be in the hands of
Sebelum di buff,
Kazakhstan, and that's
ini
what
kan
they
dia di
have
buff
right
lagi,
now
makin
for
enak
their
ya.
own
Tapi nggak
opportunity.
terlalu,
And so far,
biasa-biasa
for
aja.
Team Kazakhstan, great respawn-wise, especially the fact that, again, from time and time again, no matter how much Foxy or even Waju will try to actually do a little bit of engagement, they will
Yang
deny it
terlalu
immediately.
itu
Even Des
dia
right
ya.
now, getting invasive, little bit sealing the buff for their side. Somehow the team of Kazakhstan, they are not gonna actually allow any of the invasion. But coming through right now, Tsunami Slap comes in for the break. Two players will be able to be surviving it out, but at the same time, Agop takes down OP immediately. Electrifying Base comes through. Will he be able to take down? Yup, Detective unfortunately was sacrificed to the side of Des.
An uncharacteristic mistake coming in there from Detective. Oppi, there was really no way of him
Memang
getting out of that.
ultinya
There's no
nggak
purify
bisa
on
ke
this game,
cancel,
so you
tapi
get
kan dia nggak
grabbed, you
bisa
are
lari tuh
basically
si
dead.
Joy-nya.
But Detective deciding to jump back in with electrifying beats 1v4 is way too much to ask for. Joy does require that at least second, third item power spike to actually do sufficient DPS. Now Team Kazakhstan is reaping the
Kesel ada
rewards.
kalau
A near 2,000 gold lead
ketemu
at the 4th
hero
minute.
gampang-gampang
Again, all the
kabur gitu.
aggression, the early aggression that was done by Team Kazakhstan is kind of actually pushing a lot. Come through just a little bit to Baby Agop, but it's not going to do anything as this is going to be the set turtle for second. And coming off right now, pushing on RWM has already been put up by OP, but it's not going to be enough. But Zing!
Oh, nice.
The last hit by Riz, shuts down immediately by Kazakhstan. And now it's going to
Kita
be open
dukung
for them to
apa
go
ya?
all out
Kazakhstan
for the
aja
next
guys ya.
turtle.
Looks like Team Kazakhstan is already making quite a splash here. And everyone who may have had doubts about Team Indonesia regarding them are redoubting themselves.
Nice.
Des got the turtle, but at the same time, Wadu takes down Tashtik, but it's not going to be enough though. Wolverine just going all out with the burst damage, but is it going to be enough? Des, unfortunately, will be shut down by OP for the retreat.
Alright, that's a bit of a bite back right there from Team Cambodia. Team Kazakhstan tried a little bit too hard to position for the turtle and blitz it down without first ensuring their positions were more secure. That allowed Team Cambodia to take advantage of the chaos and start picking them off one by one. The goal lead still in their favor though.
Oh, just drags out Zing immediately, giving Riz another kill, and this is not good. Definitely knowing for a fact that Riz is stacking up already 2-0. Team Cambodia
Bakalan snowball sih kayaknya.
mistakes right here to make sure that Kazakhstan doesn't go a war at least beyond all of the economy-wise they've done here.
Dia jadi
Honestly, I'm really
glowing,
liking the
sedikit
target
makin putih
prioritization
tuh.
right now we're seeing from Team Kazakhstan. First off, they're trying to build up some farm onto the Martis. After that, the rotation up to the gold lane instead to actually help the Granger win out a lane against a fighter, which is normally supposed to be a T strategy. The further behind Zing falls, the less effective double fighter side lane is going to be, and that allows Team Kazakhstan to buy a lot more space for themselves in that mid game.
And coming out with the
Kepala
wave of
buang
targets,
aja lah ini mbak kucingnya mbak.
Tsunami Slam comes in, RWM will pick that one, takes down Tashik first of all.
Dibuang aja lah ya.
Comes in right now, as moving on right now, Des looking for a way out, doesn't actually goes in for the one, but Zing on the other note will be taken out by Riz on the 1v1.
Zing needs to start playing more carefully. The previous few times was because he got ganked by 2 or 3 people, but this time that was just a straight up 1v1 win by the Granger, who is now 3-0. I'm not too sure yet if Riz has the Sky Piercer. If he does, probably has 1 or 2 stacks at most, but you cannot afford to be giving away more of those at this point.
Let's see, Team Kazakhstan, so far a lot of response, a lot of the answers have already been given to Cambodia, and somehow Cambodia, they're messing up just a little bit, despite they were the one who's trying to go in for the setup, but this is going to be the third lot, goes into the mid right now pushing on with the wave breaker, shoes with the Tsunami Slam Tashtik, great composition with the RDR pushed out, but Wadu will be shut down immediately with Ozing comes through, but it seems like Team Cambodia goes back again, they are not going to push in even more further, but there's so much damage already, comes through with the Iron Bandit, does drag a little bit of the players from Kazakhstan, but they don't make it alive. And in the moment right now, they are going to pull away. Is it going to be a little bit of backfire come through? No, they go in for the electrifying beat. Detective will be able to take down Riz.
shutdown right there for Detective. Looks like they will still be able to secure the turtle on the side of Team Kazakhstan, but it was very important to keep that streak going for the Granger. With Riz now, oh, they even lose Olvin in the mid lanes. Team Cambodia starting to strike back.
Tommy Slam picks up, Waves of the Dragon comes
Wow,
through.
wow,
Cambodia
wow, wow.
just getting up straight away, taking dash take immediately.
Ooh, that's a big switch, big swing right there, considering that Team Kazakhstan were basically in a dominant position up until then. And they actually started off that turtle fight quite well. Ooh, here comes Riz.
Artist, a little bit of the engagement comes through, but does get Riz though by Zing. But oh,
Nice.
double kill comes
Dia
through as well with the
udah
whole
jadi
being
guys
taken
kayaknya
out.
guys.
One thing I can say for sure, Team Kazakhstan cannot be underestimated at this point.
41.
41 Sky Piercer stacks now on the Granger. The earlier death actually did not phase Riz as much as many would have thought. In fact, you could argue that strategically, it might be a good thing that he got taken out at that point when his streak was at its lowest, resetting his overall gold bounty.
Let's see so far right now, Team Kazakhstan, great rotation coming in right now with Detective. Just going to slow things down, not gonna be spotted out easily, but here on out Des comes through.
Aduh, jadi target guys Granger ya.
Tsunami Slam, try to actually steal away, but is it gonna be enough touch there? Unfortunately in a trouble in this situation, will be taken out by Wadu as well, but come through with the trade right now with Baby Yago touchdown. Detective, RWM pulls through with Foxy, just shutting down to Des.
Really good target swapping coming in here from Team Cambodia. They go in. We see that Team Kazakhstan was attempting to initiate on Wadu, but then Cambodia realized, hey, this creature is really out of position. We can grab him. We can initiate on it. And while the rest of Team Kazakhstan was distracted by the Lapu, they then switched over to the Martis, who came through the Tri-Brush as well. Team Kazakhstan, I like the initial idea of going for that catch, but they needed to shift position the moment that their more important cores were being targeted. The fact they didn't do that is kind of a misplay, actually.
A lot of the setup that was done by Tashtik doesn't have much of the effects that is needed by Team Kazakhstan, and that is why Cambodia was able to turn things around. Now, this is going to be the first Lord Dance at the moment, with the fact that Team Kazakhstan already aware of it. Tashtik is overlooking from the grass itself, and Cambodia knowing that they can actually remove any kind of the inferiors that maybe Team Kazakhstan will try to set it up. But at the same time, going at the top right now, we do see that Riz is all alone, just 1v1 with the side of Foxy. So they might actually have the idea of what's going to be like here for the Lord Dance. Come through, just do a little bit of teasing right now to the Lord side. Wadu looking for a target. Who does he want to go in? It's going to be Des, comes through first. RWM being picked up. Tsunami Slam shows a little bit of Zing, but somehow doesn't manage to pull through. And now they're going to push in straight away, but doesn't manage to actually go through with all the fights. Like you see, I am offended, comes through, but they are going to be able to take down Tashtik first of all by OP. Now moving along with Baby Yago as well as Ovid. Will be shut down by Foxy and Zing. Shut it down, Baby Yago, and Des is going to be full life in the hands of Cambodia.
That's a double kill right there for Foxy. This is indeed another damage roam Cho being played by Team Cambodia, and you can see how comfortable they are with it. They start the fight, they take it slow, they force Team Kazakhstan back, and then Boxy shows up from the other side of the map. It took so long that Team Kazakhstan weren't able to respond to it. This is a very crucial timing for them, actually. Team Cambodia is well aware that this is their most crucial power spike. This is the point of the game where they are going to be strongest, because if it takes too long afterwards, then Ulin and Riz become quite dangerous. The more of a lead they can grab by now and before the 15-minute mark, the better they will be. And if they're able to end the game before that, then they will have the clear lead.
It's the fact that they can actually see all the rotations that was done by Riz, and they know for a fact throughout that team fight itself, Riz is not there to actually give a support for the damage wise. It was not enough. Even with Des coming through, going for the setup as well with the decimation, it was still not going to be a good job for them to just get at least one of the players from Cambodia to be shut down. So that is why Team Cambodia was able to actually have a really good success for the setup. But here on out, they will be able to actually shut down little by little for this Lord matches. This is just going to be the first lot, so it's not going to be that painful. But let's see if the team fight setup will be a little bit different. Clearing all the Lord immediately, not going to overextend too much, but at least they will try to steal the spot.
Meanwhile, in the top lane, we can see Boxy attempting something, but just basically providing information. Team Kazakhstan unfortunately did make a big blunder in the previous one. They failed to recognize that this... Ooh, nice miss there. But they failed to realize that this is the most powerful...
Oh, detective been caught off guard right there, immediately giving an opening for Kazakhstan. And now they're pushing on. They know for a fact now all the damage dealer, a little bit will be decreased on the side of Team Cambodia. So let's see if Kazakhstan gonna make it or break it right now.
That was a bit weird there, coming in from Detective. No real reason for him to be that far up against Team Kazakhstan's base when they don't really even have enough waves pushing to cause a distraction. So that gives a little bit more breathing room over Team Kazakhstan right now. The 13-minute mark, gold lead still about only 2.5k gold, so it's not a very big difference. And we know that Team Kazakhstan is going to be pretty strong the later the game goes with double scaling marksmen. One thing to worry about though is that Hilda and Martis lose a little bit of functionality once we get into the later stages. So there is still some finesse that needs to happen if they're able to drag the game out that long.
Let's see. So far, Tashnik comes in, goes in for the wave breaker. Tsunami Slam will be picked up, but OP all alone will be taken down. But right at the back line, it's going to be Riz, was shut down by Detective. But Detective getting double kill to open, and now it's going to be a really good composition for Cambodia.
Just straight up a massive blunder there from Team Kazakhstan, and exactly the same mistake they've been making throughout the game. Their frontliners saw a target, ran at him, and completely forgot about their squishier cores waiting in the back who are not able to catch up with them. If they were doing this in front of their base, then
modal
sure,
Rose Gold aja
but they're
susah
doing
ya.
it in the middle
Bakalan
of the river,
jebol
and
sama
they have
Joy.
no map control. They are just asking for their backbone to die.
Kazakhstan, too much of the aggression, too much of pressure to... it's a little bit of reeks of desperation coming up from Kazakhstan itself to a point that they want to do a setup too early on that they're not really aware of the situation. But this is going to be the second lot dance. Cambodia taking a lot of steps right here to tone down a little bit of the Kazakhstan aggression earlier on. And somehow they're feeling more confident.
You can see that Team Cambodia is now hitting their spike. They're aware that at this point in the game, it's very easy for them to team fight. They have good sustain, good damage overall. All of their cooldowns are available, and Team Kazakhstan keeps making the mistake.
Oh, but Boxy comes in here or now. Tsunami Slam comes through, will be able to take down, but unfortunately he's going to be dead. So shut down by OP. RWM be picked up, but unfortunately a little bit of mistake comes through with Boxy being shut down by Riz. So again, back to the billboard, but at the same time, that lot will be able to be taken down.
Trading Boxy there for the Martis is going to be 100% worth it for Team Cambodia all of the time. It would have been better if Boxy didn't go down, but they were able to get the Lord for free. They took out a more important target, and they actually nearly picked off Riz as well. So I think it's a perfectly fine play. It allowed him to secure that objective. Lord now going to be pushing in bot lane. Still another 10 seconds before both of the casualties from the previous fight come back online. But when they do, they're going to be pretty dangerous since Boxy has now picked up that Blade of Despair as well. Remember, this is basically a full damage show. So that's another hero on the opposite side that Ulin and Riz have to be afraid of.
So far right now, Team Kazakhstan is aware of how they need to actually make a really good setup. Going in to actually zone a little bit of Zing, but at the same time, RWM has already picked up Tashnik. Just barely alive that one hit, but at the same time, right at the cost, going in, electrifying beat. Detective doesn't get anyone, but it is going to be enough for Kazakhstan just to have a little bit breather for that lot to be shut down. But here on out, it seems that Des, once more, does actually grabs two players, but backs off again to the base.
So far, we're seeing very solid defenses here from Team Kazakhstan. I do think that Team Cambodia, hold on, in trouble, is going to be able to jump away. But I do think that Team Cambodia blew a few too many cooldowns before the Lord actually collided there. Uppy especially. I like the attempt to go for a kill on Tashnik, but it would have been better served to just frame the tower when the Lord collided and guarantee an inhibitor for Cambodia.
Offended comes through, trying to drag Baby Agop. RWM has already been picked up, but Tsunami Slam trying to steal away, but unfortunately was not going to be able to do so. But comes through right now, Boxy. Tsunami Slam again, trying to steal away another one, but it's going to be untackable. Still be able to survive it up, but they're going to push into Zing. Zing managed to scur away, but at the same time, everyone was with the crowd will be able to scur and survive it out. But Tashnik once more will be able to take it out by OP, but Baby Agop coming in for the trade with Detective as well. But Baby Agop, too much of overextension ended up will be in the hands of Cambodia.
Still not too bad of a defense here from Team Kazakhstan, but they did not need to send the Hilda out there.
Oh, drag that with the Eye of Predator, shuts down by Zing, and this is going to open a door for the team of Cambodia. They're pushing in. RWM has already been picked up right there.
Gila ancolnya kan.
That is going to be Foxy. No, big shot down by Olvin, but still, Riz will be taken out
Tai
by
itu
one,
ya.
leaving Olvin all by himself.
It's a 3v1 situation right now for Team Cambodia, but luckily for Ulin, there's no minion waves pushing just yet. So the game is not over there. But that was the result of a series of missed calls being made by Team Kazakhstan. They are not fighting with their full force, and they are constantly allowing themselves to be split apart due to over-aggressive attempts to make catches. It worked well for them in the first couple minutes of the game, but the longer the game goes, the more difficult it is, especially with the fall-off on heroes like Martis and Hilda. They need to be playing this slowly, and it's important for them to keeping themselves close so that they can actually protect their marksmen. Team Cambodia have been able to take advantage of this so far. This Lord should be free for them again with the waves pushing up. Does Team Kazakhstan still want a challenge?
It looks like they do. RWM already been put up right there. Tashtik doesn't actually get anyone with a tsunami slam. Now they're going to push into Riz. Riz will be able to manage to score away. Tashtik makes sure that right now they're going to actually defend it wisely. They're not going to allow any of their players to be taken out easily. So this is a really good defense mechanism. But here and now, Zay will be shut down by Riz immediately. And now pushing on right now to Wadu as well as OP. Baby Akop, 2 overextension will be shut down by Detective. But at the same time, Des, unfortunately, also having a lot of struggle to be surviving. This is going to be a double kill in the hands of the side of Detective as well as another shot. Riz survives to eventually to get OP, but unfortunately it's going to be 4 players all in the hands of Team Cambodia.
Honestly, that was a really impressive show of micromechanics from both sides, delaying the fight that long. But now Ulin once again finds himself 1v3 defending the base.
Goes into the dive. Right now, Olvin, Electrify base comes
Gila bang Kamboja kok.
This is Crystal in the hands
Mga dikit ginjal hilang.
Despite his best attempts, this time around, Ulin is not going to be able to defend the crystal. Team Cambodia is able to take advantage of their mid-game power spike and drag the momentum through until they were able to claim victory in game number 1.
We saw how the draft-wise, it is a little bit of straightforward coming up from Kazakhstan. They want to actually show off how maybe we go back to the whole entire meta plays, or probably just pretty much how in the books wise, this is how the straightforward fight should be, and it was doing well on the early runs, right? The early game plays, we do see